Could a single photo really be enough to identify a suspect? That question took center stage as Dana Wilson's case unfolded in court. The defense argued the officer relied on only one police photo and never conducted a proper photo lineup, despite heavily tinted windows and only a brief glimpse of the driver. After intense cross-examination and body camera evidence, the judge admitted the identification was weak. But because probable cause requires only a low legal threshold, the case was still bound over for trial.
So, you first see this white Ford Focus. You and the Ford Focus are driving opposite directions on the road?
No, sir. I believe I was stopped facing westbound.
You were stopped facing westbound?
Across the way. Yes, the car passed me southbound, so across directly from him.
Crossed in front of you, taking a turn?
No, he was going straight southbound, and I was stopped westbound, so I turned left behind him.
Okay. So, at that point, you're not investigating the car per se at that point, you're just looking at it?
Yes.
Okay. And then you see, so you say that you see the windows partially rolled down?
Correct.
So what does that mean? How much?
I think they just meant for like 3 to 5 inches, enough to where I can see several inches. So it was like halfway down, to get a better way to describe it.
Halfway down?
Yeah, enough to where I could see the driver's face, but I could also see that the windows were tinted.
Okay, so, and you described the tint in your report as heavily tinted, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So is there any part of that window that's blocking any part of the driver's face from view?
I can see the driver's face clearly at that time as you passed me.
That is all parts of his face?
I can see his face.
Okay. What about, at what point is your view blocked? Like, can you see the neck?
I can see his face.
So you can't see anything below the face?
Correct. I can see
It's clarification. I'll allow it. Go ahead.
his head. I can see
his head.
Yes, his face is left as he looked. Like he said, he looked directly as he's driving. He looked directly over to me and continued back southbound.
Okay. And you say you can't see any clothes?
Correct.
Okay. And you can't see other parts of the vehicle, right? The interior of the vehicle, right?
I guess partially. It depends on what you're referring to.
So it's like, so you said your testimony on direct was that Mr. Wilson was the sole occupant of the vehicle.
That's
How did you know that?
when I conducted the traffic stop on the car, I began approaching the car. I got relatively close to him. I could see that one.
But all the windows were heavily tinted, right?
They are, but as you start getting closer to it, you typically can see through it.
Okay. So then your testimony was also that once you initiate the traffic stop and you walk up to the car, you see the window being rolled down a few inches.
No, the window was rolled down. It wasn't completely rolled down. It's about halfway down.
So you don't believe there was any, you believe that the window was rolled down to the same height throughout the duration of this time?
I can't see that. If it was the exact same height, I'm not.
Okay, so, but regardless, you think it was about halfway down when you saw it, when it first passed to your side. And then you're saying that as you walk up to it, it's about halfway down as well?
Right, enough to where I can see the driver's face clearly both times, yeah.
Okay. So now the driver, he never sticks any part of his body outside of it, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that includes his face. He's not poking his head out or anything like that.
Correct.
Yeah. And safe to say that the driver was not the same race as you?
Correct.
I'm gonna object to that question. I don't see the relevance.
It's relevant to the issue of identification.
And it's argumentative. He's trying to.
Well, not yet. It could be, but not yet. I'll allow it. Go ahead.
We have an answer. Not the same race. So I think now is the time I'd like to show you some of your body on camera, and I will be admitting a portion of it as a defense exhibit. Okay. I'll plug in.
Thank you.
Before I turn my attention there, I do want to ask you a few more questions. So do you recall giving any physical description of the driver in your report?
It's in the CAD notes, which would be the notes I provided to dispatch. In my report, I don't believe I put it in there until I identified it, but it is if you reference my the computer automated dispatch notes, what I provided to dispatch, I did.
Why wouldn't you put a physical description of the driver in your report?
Throughout my investigation, I was able to determine who it was.
But you understand that there might have been a dispute about
No,
that.
that's not a question, that's more of a statement. So if defense counsel has questions
That you're.
Sir,
Hold on.
I'm objecting, I'm requesting that the court inform defense to ask questions and not give statements.
My question is, what is his reasoning for failing to include a written description of the suspect in his report if he stated that he included that description in CAD notes, which I don't believe I have?
Okay. Go ahead and answer it if you can.
CAD notes said I reviewed it. I told dispatch it was a dark black and white with, I believe it was razor dreads. I think it said dreads. Once I'm authoring my report, I quickly identified who it was. In fact, so I put the description in there as his name, as this person. This is the person I saw driving. I'm confident in my identification of, looked at me 2 different times. Through my investigation, I was able to determine exactly who it was. So in my original report, at the time of authoring that report, I put, this is who was driving. So the description of that suspect is who I identified as the driver. It was all one report. There's no additional reports. I authored one report, and throughout, this is a matter of an hour or two of me typing this, doing this investigation. The car was recovered. I identified the suspect driver, and I put him in there by name. So in the report, he is identified by name as who the suspect, in fact, was, who the driver was.
Okay, and when you say you determined who it was, but you never arrested Alana Wilson as part of this investigation, right?
No, flood.
Right. So you were never able to actually physically apprehend and then identify who was in that car, correct?
Objection, asked and answered. He said he answered, and answered and said that the defendant, but
Response?
No, I'll withdraw the question. I think I have the information I need. So now let's turn to the video. So, Officer Schurig, do you see this still from a video up on the screen?
I do, yes.
You see how the date on the top right, that Axon Live logo is 2022-6/8, which I believe would that correspond to the date of this alleged fleeing?
Yeah, I'd have to review the report, but yeah, that sounds accurate.
Okay, and do you believe this to be a fair and accurate recreation of your body camera footage from that day?
I would object.
I thought it was June 7th, to be honest with you. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not.
And I would agree.
I believe that report was off there on June 7th.
Okay. June 7th. Well, why don't I play some and we'll see if maybe there was just an error in the date.
Sure.
That could be, like you said, sometimes the body cam, the date and times, I really don't know how the times work on there. I don't know, but I believe the incident happened on June 7th, if I remember correctly. So the date technically could be, I have no control over the Axon thing.
I'm going to go ahead and play.
Yeah. Just for the record, there is no audio with this, correct?
I believe the audio will kick on in 30 seconds.
I'm not object. At this point, I think the defense counsel has a good foundation for something else.
And I was playing a few seconds of the video first so that I could lay an adequate foundation.
I think what we need to do is let Officer Schurig, am I saying right, Schurig?
Yes.
see enough of the video to say, yeah, that's the same incident.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the dates aren't jiving, we gotta,
Give me like 10 more seconds of it, I can
okay.
tell you.
So hold off on that objection.
Why? What? All right, so just trying to make a comment.
Is this the same incident we've been talking about?
So I have no control over the date, times, and the Axon video. I don't have anything to do with that. But this is in fact what is referenced in my police report and the incident we're discussing today. Thank you.
And there's no objection to the introduction of the video. I would just request that it played in this environment. We will.
I don't know. How long is it?
The defense will be moving to admit about the first minute of this video. Prosecution cares to play or admit more, that's their problem.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I've paused it again at the 1 minute and 4 second mark. Officer Sherrick, so you confirmed that this is your body cam approaching the white Ford Focus that we've been talking about?
Correct, sir.
Now, I know that the video is a little dark, but you would agree that all of those windows on the car look heavily tinted?
Graciano's waiting on.
And you would agree that
he's in custody.
at least from this perspective of the body cam, you cannot see through that driver's side window.
I would have that, the window doesn't appear to be open on my side. So I don't know.
Well, so what would be the legal objection?
Well, he's misstating facts and evidence. He's suggesting that the windows are, to me, fully tinted and that it can't be seen, but on the screen that I have in front of me, the window is still open.
Response?
I don't think that's a legal objection.
I don't either.
Misstating facts, not in, or misleading the court, was,
I'm not misleading the court. I'm asking a question. I'm allowed to ask leading questions.
You can flesh it out when it's time for redirect.
So my question, Officer Sherrick, was viewing this video right now, you would agree it's hard to see anything through that driver's side window.
The driver's side window's open. The other ones are closed, but I mean, I think we can agree the video quality's not good.
Okay. So let me just finish playing the portion of the video that I want now. Or to be.
Go ahead.
Now, I would like to pause right here and ask you a few more questions, Officer Sherrick. So do you see that reflection on the driver's side window, the reflection of the sky?
It's currently up right now, yes.
Okay, so the window is fully up as you're stepping out of that car.
Right, as of now, yes.
Okay, so what we were talking about before in terms of, you said that the window was down and then it was down again as you approached, but you weren't sure if it had ever gone up or down. You would agree that the window, if it was rolled down before, it's been rolled up by this.
At this current exact second, the window is up. The driver's side front window is up.
Okay. I'll keep playing. And you'd also agree, and at this point, this is the 1 minute 6 second mark. I will move to admit the first 1 minute 6 seconds of this.
I've already translated the introduction of
That'll come in. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So, Officer Sherrick, you would agree that you weren't positioned in front of the driver's window. You never got the chance to position yourself in front of the driver's window and look clearly at the driver like that, right?
I was looking clearly up the drive when you rolled the window.
But you were not positioned standing still in front of the driver's window.
Ask and answer.
It's a clarification.
No, I was never directly next to the driver's side window. Like, I guess, perpendicular to that window, no.
Right. The car, you would agree, began driving before you had completed walking up there.
Yes, Mr. Wilson fled prior to me getting to the actual window, yes.
So, and then a pursuit ensued and you never were able to view the driver's face during the pursuit.
That part is accurate. Once he fled, I can no longer see him.
Okay, so we're talking about, there's the moment where this driver drives past you, and there's this moment on the
It's
video.
actually a compound question. He's asking multiple different, I just asked for a straightforward question. That's compound. That's the legal objection.
It's not a compound question, I'm just clarifying.
He's providing,
It's not a compound question if I'm just asking him to basically, I'm gonna list 2 bullet points of 2 moments that we've talked about in testimony and ask him to confirm that that is the complete list that we're talking.
That's not a compound question.
And
Go ahead.
for the record,
That's fine.
the question, officer, is we have the moment where the car drives past you that you described. And then we have this moment depicted on body cam. There's no other moment where you're seeing the driver's face, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And this, so then you claim later that you identify this driver as Delano Wilson, is that right?
Yes.
And that was done through investigation of the plate and the history of users of this vehicle, is that right?
Essentially, yes.
Okay. But once, and then when you did that investigation, you pulled up on your computer a single photo of Mr. Delano Wilson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's when you came to the conclusion that that photo matched the person who you'd seen?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, so you never did any sort of photo array?
No, sir.
You never asked, for example, an OIC or a detective in your department to do a double blind identification procedure for you?
We're not required to do that.
Okay. So, and you don't know Mr. Wilson, right? You don't have any prior or subsequent interactions with this man, is that right?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Joe,
And then
is Novak up?
just a few more questions.
We'll bring him on as soon as they're done here.
And then how much time passed
Look it up.
between this traffic stop and then you doing this research and finding this photo of Mr. Wilson?
This was I can't speak for certain, but this was very, very quick, probably within an hour or 2. I offered the report, the vehicle was impounded, and everything was taken care of relatively quickly, and before the end of my shift, for sure.
Before the end of your shift?
Yeah, but I think it was much quicker than that. I actually wasn't planning on completing the shift done with that. Probably quick, incident.
Do you remember where you physically were when you pulled up that picture of Mr. Wilson? Was it back at the precinct?
I'm gonna object. I don't see the relevance.
What's relevance?
It's relevant to identification, and I can go into all of the factors that Michigan courts have recognized in terms of what independent basis, what can create an independent basis for an in-court identification. One of them is a length of time. It's allowing. So, where were you when you pulled up the picture of Mr. Wilson?
The Huron Township Police Department.
The police department, okay. Do you recall being with anyone else when you were doing that research?
Objection, relevant.
Too late.
Safe to say you were in an elevated, never mind, strike that. Nothing really.
Ms. Mohammed, your witness.
Officer, how many times during your interaction with the defendant, both before the stop and after, was the window open?
It was open when he drove past me the first time, and then upon approaching the car, he rolled the window down, so I could see clearly into the vehicle both times.
Okay, and just to confirm for clarity, the individual you identified here in court, that's the same individual that was operating this vehicle that fled from you?
Yes.
Okay, no further question.
Recross? You can step down. Watch your step.
No further witnesses.
Be safe.
Thanks.
Can he go back to Dearborn Heights? We don't need to keep him around? All right.
Awesome. Thanks, sir. Have a good day.
No further witnesses from the people?
No.
Any witnesses from the defense? Arguments?
Motion for a binding verdict, testimony request, question was after the trial plan.
Your Honor, I have to object to Bindo in this situation. I understand that questions of identification are often questions of fact, but I don't even believe that the people have met their probable cause burden in this case. That still isn't, just because you have someone saying, I think it's that person, doesn't automatically create a question of fact. And of course, Your Honor also has the credibility to determine to make, obligated to assess this officer's credibility in that situation, whether he's outright lying or whether it's just a matter of impossibility to make this sort of identification. So I would like to run you through, Your Honor, the factors that have been outlined by Michigan court, most recently the Michigan Supreme Court in a case called People versus Posey. I will put that citation on the record. Posey is People v. Posey 512 Mich 317 2023 decision of the Michigan Supreme Court, which talks about when an in-court identification of a defendant should be admitted into evidence, and it requires a showing of an independent basis for that identification. And I don't think any of the factors that Posey identifies in terms of what would create that sufficient independent basis apply here. So factor number one, and Posey's factors are borrowed from federal case law from the U.S. Supreme Court, so it's not just Michigan case law we're talking about here. Factor number one, prior relationship with or knowledge of the defendant. This officer says he's never seen Mr. Wilson before, never seen him subsequently. Factor number two, the opportunity to observe the offense. We've heard that it was simply the allegation of seeing him through a window in a moving car and then seeing him through a window as approaching for just a split second before this car peels off. Factor number three, length of time between the offense and the disputed identification. There's two lengths of time I would point out here. One, we have a gap of at least an hour, possibly several more hours between this incident in the field and him looking up this photo back at the precinct. Then we also have the gap of 3+ years between this incident and the only time that we know of Mr. Wilson, of Officer Schurig seeing Mr. Wilson live, which is right here, right now in the courtroom. Then factor number four, accuracies or discrepancies in the pre-lineup or show-up description and the defendant's actual description. We don't have any pre-lineup or show-up. We do have the viewing of a photo. And I'll just take this opportunity to say that is a one photo show-up. That is a type of identification procedure that's highly disfavored in our courts. Decades of research have shown that doing a 6-photo lineup or some sort of live lineup is a far superior procedure than simply showing someone one photo. Especially when it's not double blind, you have the person, it's him, he himself is pulling up this photo. He's already thinking, I think this is the person. It's a highly suggestive procedure. Any previous proper identification or failure to identify the defendant, there's no previous identification other than that photo show up. The nature of, this is factor 7, the nature of the alleged offense, the physical and psychological state of the victim or the identifier. In critical situations, perception will become distorted. Any strong emotion, as opposed to mild emotional experiences, will affect not only what and how much we perceive, but also will affect our memory of what occurred. And I'm reading these at length because this is a quote from the Posey case. And this is also a play here where we have an officer working in the field, conducting a traffic stop, quickly followed by a high-speed pursuit. He's presumably at a heightened emotional state. And then finally, factor 8, any idiosyncratic or special features of the defendant. We don't have testimony that, this is someone with a gap tooth, with tattoos on his face, wearing an eye patch, nothing about facial hair. We have a black male with braids. He didn't even bother putting in his report. And we do have testimony that the officer is a different race from the defendant, which this court can take judicial notice that cross-racial identifications are even less reliable. So for all these factors, I don't think this case should be bound over. You might say, he gets on the stand, he's confident that Mr. Wilson is the person, it's a question of fact. But I disagree, because I think this court does have a duty to assess his credibility in the light of these factors, and does have a duty to assess whether the prosecution has met that threshold of probable cause that not only has a crime been committed, but that it's Delano Wilson who committed that crime. And I don't believe that's been met. I'm objecting to plaintiff. Thank you.
Mr. Muhammad.
Judge, we would completely disagree with the defense counsel's position. As this case reflects, is that the officer identified the defendant, indicated that the window was open twice during his interaction with the defendant. He identifies him in court here today as the driver of that vehicle. I believe in court identification is sufficient for probable cause purposes, and I would motion that the court find this case over as charged. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Well, my understanding of the job I have today is the only way I could not bind over if I found Officer Shurg's testimony to be totally incredulous, and I didn't. I think it's an extremely weak ID, but I think probable cause is an extremely weak burden. I am going to bind over. AOI date will be 2 weeks down the road on the 13th at 9 a.m. I will extend the bond as is, and I will ask you fellas to sign the paperwork when I'm done with it. Thank you.
Your Honor, can we address bonds?
Sure. 25,000 personal, I believe.
I was wondering, is the defendant on a Jeep together?
I don't think so.
Your Honor,
I don't see any additional conditions. Do
I
you?
would request that the defendant be placed on a Jeep.
Why?
In light of the charge in front of us today, that was already heard. I believe the defendant
Your Honor, there's been no change in conditions. There's as you just noted, an extreme identification of Mr. Wilson as the suspect here. He's not a flight risk because he sits right before you. He's maintained constant contact with myself throughout the pendency of this case. Don't believe there's a failure to adhere history on this case. I believe it was late. It's wholly inappropriate.
I agree. Bond is as is.
Thank you.
All right. And did we already talk about the money you owe? You're going to stop downstairs? All right.
Okay.
Gentlemen, I just need your signatures and then you're on your way. Good luck downtown.
Thank you.
Did we lose Mr. Smith, Trovius?
Yes, that's
Did you just adjourn that one? Can we get Novak out here?
Yeah.
Mr. Martin, keep me informed on that case. Interesting.